Hey guys, Metal Driver here, back with another McFarlane Toys review. And today I'll be looking at the McFarlane Gold Label DC Multiverse Azrael Batman Armor Batman Kightfall figure. So we get a standard McFarlane Toys box right here, then on the back we get this big image of Detective Comics 667 showing off as Bat in all of his 90s armored glory. And not only am I going to be reviewing this figure, but I'm also going to be showcasing this custom wired cape right here. So I'm going to show you how to remove the plastic cape on this figure, how to attach this cape, and for once this is not a GPS lot cape, although I do like their capes that they sell on their eBay page. No, this cape was made by my lovely and talented wife, so we'll see how that looks. And if you're a regular of the channel, thank you for returning. If you're brand new, this is my real voice. No, I'm not trying to sound like Batman. It seems like everyone always says that when they go onto one of my Batman videos. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and open this up and take a closer look at Azrael Batman. And here we have Azrael Batman out of the packaging, but before we take a look at the figure, let's look at the accessories that he comes with. Alright, so it only comes with two pieces of accessories, which includes this stand with the DC logo right here, and a trading card featuring the image of Detective Comics 667. So I like these cards. To me, it reminds me of the old Legends of Batman toy line by Kenner from the 90s, which was the first toy line to feature Azrael Batman. Those always came with those trading cards with a cool illustration of the figure. So here we got Azrael Batman. Then we have this data file on the back with this nice information here. So looking at the head sculpt first, I think this looks pretty nice. It definitely looks like the mask of Azrael Batman. Got some nice sculpt work on the side, some nice paint on the red eyes right there. So you do get some shadowing inside these grooves, these crevices right there. So that looks really good. You do see the neck piece right there. Looking at the sculpt work of the rest of the figure, I am really impressed with how this looks. This is something that I think Todd McFarlane does a good job with the DC Multiverse. We get good sculpts on these figures. The shoulder piece looks really nice. Got these points right here, looks really good. This golden square right here looks nice. The collar looks really good. Some nice detailing on the torso. Here we get a closer look at the belt and the pouches. Same thing right here on this set of pouches. Sculpt work on the gauntlet looks really nice. These spikes look really good. So I don't think he skimped out on any detail right there. As far as the sculpt work goes, the paint, well, that's a different story. We'll get to that. Legs look really nice. And now they're not smooth legs. There is this textured pattern all over the legs right here, and the gray parts over by the crotch area all the way down to the feet. So that is really nice. You get the little spikes here on the side. The cape is sculpted really well. For a plastic cape, I do like how this looks, although I am not a fan of plastic capes to begin with, so I am going to rip this off and show you the soft goods cape. The hands look really nice, the claws on the fingers, really good sculpting there. So again, not to sound like a broken record, the sculpting is really good. What's not good about the figure is that the choice in the colors is not accurate. The biggest noticeable issue is the shade of blue on the cape, the gloves, the cowl. It's way too light. There should have been a darker shade of blue, and even the gray should have been a little bit darker, and you can make an argument that the gold should have been a little bit more yellowish. Me personally, I'm not bothered by the gold. I do like it, but really the blue should have been darker. Along with the incorrect color blue, it's also missing some silver details on the fingers and on the neck piece as well, so that does stand out a bit on this figure. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a variant somewhere down the road with the corrected colors. In fact, it would be nice if we did, because that way we can get a more accurate looking version of this Batman, because I am a big fan of this one, of this design. The Kightfall storyline was one of the very first storylines I ever got into as a kid. When I first started reading Batman comic books, this was the one that was going on. So I have a soft spot for this design. So even though the colors are not accurate, I do think it's worth getting just by looking at it alone like this. But this is an articulated figure. You don't want to just look at it, you want to play with it. So let's go ahead and look at the articulation. The head goes that high up, it goes that far down, so pretty good range there. Can turn side to side and tilt very well. So I think there should be a ball joint there. That's what it feels like. Looking at these big ball shoulders, can rotate all the way around, although it is stopped by the cape right there. Can go that high up. This one's a bit stiff, so I'm going to have to heat that up. There is a butterfly joint in there. We do get some double jointed elbows. It is hindered slightly by this gauntlet right here, swivel at the wrist, and there is a hinge in there, I believe. Yep. Oh, and I can't forget about the bicep swivel. And then there's ball joints at the upper diaphragm and the waist, so That's how far you can crunch forward. You can go that far back, so pretty good there. Can turn side to side at the upper diaphragm and a little bit at the waist. Legs go that far out. They go that high up, so good range there. And then there should be some inner thigh rotation. Double jointed knees. Ankle goes that high up, that far down. There's toe articulation and should be, ankle pivot in there as well. Alright, so I am going to show off the custom cape. So again, here is the cape. Now, the blue doesn't 100% match, but that's about as close as my wife got. Now, this is the very first wired cape in this design that she has made. She's made one other with the traditional scallops. So these are a little bit more longer to match the Azrael look. So the idea is to cut the plastic cape and then glue at the top right here. And then place that underneath the shoulder pads or within this part right here. So what you need to do first in order to remove the cape is you're going to need to heat up this peg back here. You're going to want to use a hairdryer with that. And then some of these pegs have been able to peel off, others not. So I would recommend getting an X-Acto knife, just in case you do need to cut that, although a pair of scissors should work as well. Then after I cut that off, what I plan on doing is cutting down here along this line following the curve of the back of the shoulders, so hopefully that won't be too difficult. Alright, so I'm going to go off camera, heat that peg up, cut it, show you how that looks, and then start heating this up and then cut that off as well. Alright, so after heating the back of the peg, I noticed that it was actually a little bit thicker and stiffer than what I was expecting. The pegs on the other Batman figures have been a little bit softer, so what I ended up doing was using some pliers and just kind of prying it off, which I was able to do. And now, once you get to this part of the back of the cape, you can easily just follow the line right here on the back of the cowl, so you'd want to heat this up and then just run along the line on the back of the shoulders, so that way you're making an incision, but you're not cutting all the way through, so that way you're making a weak point on that curved line. Then here up at the shoulder, what I did was I just gently put pressure with my X-Acto knife and just slowly went back and forth, cutting through. You don't want to go too hard on this. You might end up slipping and cutting into the plastic or scratching the figure. So just by going back and forth on the edges, and then once you get to those spots where you traced over the line with your X-Acto knife, that weak point will make it easier to cut through. As you can see right here, and that doesn't look too bad. Yeah, it's not smooth, it's not perfect right there, but it does the job. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the cape and show how that looks. Alright, so here's how it looks without the plastic cape. So now I'm going to go ahead and attach this one here. So I'm going to apply some glue up at the top, glue it right underneath this shoulder piece here. I'm going to use a little bit of super glue. Then I'm going to apply just a little bit here at the top. Start with some light dabs, see how that works. You go ahead and slip it underneath the shoulder piece right here. Apply some pressure for a good maybe 10 to 20 seconds. Hopefully that's enough, and then we'll see how that looks. Alright, so here is the cape glued on the shoulder piece, and it looks fantastic. To me, this really makes this figure look much more impressive than it already does. It's a nice little upgrade for Azrael Batman, so I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I should be, because as I said, it was made by my wife, and if I'm not happy with that, probably wouldn't go well for me. I'm kidding, she would have fixed it. But yeah, replacing that plastic cape and giving this figure a custom cape really makes this figure even better than what it already is. Yes, I know there are inaccuracies with the color, especially with the blue and the lack of the silvers, but overall I think it is a pretty good figure. You're spending about retail price with this, so 25 bucks-ish, depending on where you live, and getting a custom cape on here really gives it a nice upgrade. Me personally, I would rather do this than spend over 100 bucks on the Mafex version. As great as that figure is, I don't feel like spending that much on one figure. So unfortunately, I can't really show you a tutorial on how to make this because I did not make this cape. My wife did. But in the future, if I showcase another cape that she made, I'll be sure to record the process on how she made it. That way you can learn how to make your own custom cape. But in the meantime, if you know of any good customizers out there that could possibly make something like this, I'd say reach out to them. If you want to make one on your own, that would be cool too. So I was already pretty satisfied with how this turned out already without the cape. Hopefully in the future, we might get a re-release with the corrected colors. That would be cool. But in the meantime, I like how this looks, and I can't wait to get that Bane Mega figure to pair him up with this one. But in the meantime, let me know in the comments section below, do you think a custom cape makes this figure look better? And is it worth giving a custom cape to this figure? Hit that like button if you haven't done so already, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.